Hello, Cubs fans, and welcome to a brand new edition of Cubs on Tap. I am Ron Luce. I am joined by the one, the only, the Juice Man himself. My friend, how are you tonight?
Well, Cubs baseball happened today. This is like a journal. We played a game. We lost again. Daniel Norris did things. We only got to see Chris Burrell bat like 3 times. Each day I try to muster up more and more courage to watch this team. I don't know where I'm finding it. Thank God the All-Star break's coming. Sometimes I just sit in the dark and think, what would it be like if we had a respectable baseball team? Went back the other day and watched a rerun of 2001. Saw Sammy Sosa. That was fun. This is titled Sadness, by the way. Just like the Cubs and my sadness.
Oh my God, Juice. I'm over here crying right now. I had to mute my microphone because I was dying like a little schoolgirl. That was absolutely, honest to God, that was the best way I think we've ever started an episode of Cubs on Tap. It's just the journalistic, narrated journal entry from Juice after a terrible fucking game. Oh my God, I'm dead. Juice, that's the best thing I've seen all week. Oh, thank you for that.
Well, thank God, because I mean we watched a lot of bad baseball. So I'm just trying
a lot of bad.
I'm trying to like make it to where it's entertaining here. Cubs on Tap. I mean, how many times can we sit and just talk about, you know, the one player that gives a shit that's playing today?
Yeah.
You know, like, God, it's just, it's so sad to do these. And I don't know. I was thinking since like the 4th inning on doing that. So I had some time to put that all together. Probably could have went a lot longer, but I do have a therapy session tomorrow, and I don't want to be in too bad a shape for it. No,
understood. Yeah, we have Cubs therapy tomorrow. It's called Thirsty Thursdays, as the Myrtle Beach Pelicans obvious shirts say. Thirsty Thursdays make me thirsty. That's what's happening, I think, to at least one of the Cubs on Tap gang. Maybe not all of us, but nonetheless, it'll be a day. But yeah, people joining in the comments, Juice kind of feeling you. Scott right out the gate, just a quick fuck everything. Hello from you, Alap. How are you, sir? Scott also followed that up. Thank God Ortega was leading off and going 0 for 3, just like you said, Juice. Thank God we could see Ortega take meaningful at bats.
Why didn't he pitch?
Tyler, I don't know.
She should have pitched. You know, maybe there's a team out there who needs, you know, like a position player at the end of it, you know, that can pitch, you know, up his trade value, right? You know.
Yeah,
dude,
give him...
fuck this shit, dude. Honestly, like, I can't even like be fake about it anymore. You know, like I've tried to like hide in every hole of optimism and sit and like, well, this isn't that bad, you know, like at least they're entertaining. No, like the last 2 nights have been just dog shit. Like I mean, it's I got a belly full of white dog shit, and then they lay Daniel Norris on me, man. Like, what am I supposed to do? They're bad, and I don't know, man. Like, there comes some point where it's laughable bad. I don't think we're there yet because this team is like inching bad. I like Bleacher Nation, and I follow Bleacher Nation. He described it perfectly. It's like being like put on like the old like chopping block where they used to like chop people's heads off, but then like nobody cuts the cord that like actually it's like cuts your head off. No, it just sits there. You're just looking at it the whole time, and they're never gonna cut it because the season's gonna go on for another 70 some games or however much are left. So so we sit here and I'll say this. Me and you and Joey, who do these shows all the time, have never been more excited for the All-Star break. Never.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, at least like last year we had the Will they sell? Will they not sell?
Yes.
This year, it's like they're selling, and all the favorites are going, baby. All of them. So trade in your Ian Happ and Wilson Contreras jerseys now. I hope I'm wrong on Ian Happ, but trade them in now because they're going to be gone. And, yeah, with that said, I really hope that when they are building this whole thing, they build it like similar to what Baltimore is doing because that team's so fun.
Yeah, and honestly, like in Juice, I got to talk to Joey about it a little bit yesterday. It's like I think a lot of people forget that this Orioles team's actually like good.
Yeah.
You know, they're 45-44. Joey and I talked about it in the last night's show. It is the only division in baseball, the AL East, that has every team at or above 500, which is an incredible saying to speak into itself. Like literally, if they were in any other division in baseball, they're no worse than third in the division, and they're like in every race in almost every division. Which is crazy.
And they're playing like the three best teams, like World Series favorites, almost every year. So I mean, if they played in like the Central, like, and they played in our division, like they're probably like a game back of the Brewers.
Yeah,
right. I mean,
absolutely. I mean, hell, they're only like two
considered.
games. They're only 2 games back of the AL wild card.
Yeah.
Like, that's how good they've played lately. That was their 10th straight win tonight for the Baltimore Orioles. Brandon Hyde's got them feeling good right now over in Baltimore. And it's crazy. And yeah, like Scott says here in the comments, that's the crazy thing about the AL East. And Toronto just fired their manager. Like, that's how competitive. Yeah, and that's how competitive the AL East is. It's just that kind of season. At least in the AL East. Obviously, we don't know anything about that in the NL Central because it's the Cardinals, it's the Brewers, and then it's everybody else right now. So, but dude, I'm right there with you. I mean, just watching these games, it sucks. And Tyler embodies it perfectly here. How many more kicks to the dick can we take? I like the idea of selling Cubs on tap protective cups. I'll have to talk to the boss man.
Mr. Just helmets. I mean,
it can't take too many more. Yeah.
Like
some hard hats.
I need something.
I need a hard hat, Juice. So when this team makes stupid plays, or I believe that Sarah Sanchez calls them tootlons, I think is the term that she uses.
Yeah.
Every time there's a tootlon, I can smack my head off the wall and not get brain damage with a nice hard hat. So we'll get some Cubs on tap hard hats for everybody.
I like that idea.
To share the pain with, because Juice, this is painful, right? Like, you and I have sat here and bitched about it. We got to bitch about it with Joey on Sunday's show for the first time in forever. Like, when this team only combines for 6 total hits and Ian Happ has 2 of them, and Rafael Ortega is the only person to drive in a run on a sacrifice, but he's 0 for 3 on the night. Like, nobody on this team hit tonight. Like, yes, some guys picked up a hit, right? Like, Seiya got on once. Horner got on another time. Velasquez and Morel getting hits. That's cool and tough. But, like, why are we still batting Morel and Velasquez in the 8 and 9 holes? Like, Rafael Ortega is not the answer in the leadoff spot. And I'm fine if you don't want to put Christopher Morel there because he was already there before. And that's okay. That is okay. But, like, why not Ian Happ for a little bit? Or why not, or fuck it, why not Nelson Velasquez? Why not Alfonso Rivas? Why not Nico Horner?
Why not Seiya?
Why not Seiya? I mean, what do you have to lose at this point, right? Like, just move guys around and switch up the lineup and at least make this team fun to watch. I mean, fuck, they were actually fun to watch for a little bit there, right? They had the 4 straight series wins. The pitching was there. Guys were coming through and hitting when they needed to. And then they go to fucking LA and they shit the bed. Mm-hmm. And it's like they're still on West Coast time for the last 2 days. Because they come out, and honestly, you know what? I know Justin Steele got banged up tonight, and I know people are going to beat him up, but he settled in. Bro, the dude just had his girlfriend, soon to be wife. I think they're about to get married. I think they're engaged. They just recently got engaged. They just had a fucking baby. The dude's probably slept 3 hours in the last 3 days. So, like, the fact that he even pitched 6 innings and settled in the way he did, awesome. But, like, I didn't expect Justin Steele to be ready for this game, but guess what? It looks like the rest of the fucking roster wasn't ready either because they're still out in LA because they didn't do absolute shit tonight in the 7-1 loss, Juice. And I don't normally get mad on Cubs on tap.
No, I know.
It's getting to the point where I'm just like, and this sucks, right? It pains you when your favorite sports team in each sport right, get so bad where it feels like it's a chore to watch them play. The last 7 days, pretty much the Dodgers series to now, that's what it's felt like. This team hasn't showed up. They've shot themselves in the fucking foot the whole time. And they just continue to, again, this team has way too much talent on it compared to like the 2012 team to be just this bad, right? Like, give us a little something. Tease me a little bit. I need more than Christopher Morel triples to be teased a little bit, right? Like, it can't be your 9-hitter carrying the offense on a night like tonight. It's just unacceptable.
Yeah, and you know it sucks because so not last night. I watched last night's game for a little bit, and then I was like, I got into like Cubs rabbit hole, which is very fun. It's very fun to do. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I wonder what this looks like in comparison to when they rebuilt the first time with Theo. Mm-hmm. And I found some fun Jed Hoyer quotes that were along the lines of, there is no skipping of a step. You can't rush this process. There's a matter of development that needs to be met before you move on to another stage of a rebuild. And this just got me to the point where I'm concerned twofold. One, because you watch tonight, and if me and you are this upset, we're diehards, we watch every game, and we take in the product, what does that mean for the tweener people? How many games are they watching? How many jerseys are they buying? How many shirts? Which money are they spending on the team? So the flip side of that is, if you're going to solve that, right, would be to invest in a shortstop in free agency or bring in a big-time free agent that fits your timeline. But then you hear those quotes from Jed where it's like, we're not going to skip a step, and there is no skipping steps when you do this right. And to build this thing the right way, there's going to be ups and downs and misses, and there's going to be, ways that you're going to be upset with the product that you're watching. But just know that if you skip a step, you're already doing it wrong. So my fear is that Jed will stay the course. You don't energize this fan base, and we're looking at a whole nother year of this. And it's a very distinct possibility that we are. I hope that's not the case, because I would like them to be competitive next year, considering that a year and a half of bad baseball, I think, with a team that is this high on the payroll is unacceptable. Mm-hmm. But on the flip side of it too, if it means I got to wait another year for success, but it's the right way that this front office views it, I have to trust it. So as a fan, it's like, it's a total kick in the dick. It's so true about the Cubbies on tap, cups that we need to be, because this may just keep coming. And I don't know when it ends. We've been on this for a year and a half talking about things that don't matter in a lot of, large perspectives of what this team will look like when they're finally winning. It's just sad to sit here and we've bought into it, but we don't know what we've bought in and how long we've bought into. You get what I'm saying? Like the timeline of what we bought into, we don't know. So
it's
just
like
frustrating.
the idea. Yeah, it's like the idea of when your friend approaches you and goes, "Hey, you want to do something fun?" And you're like, "Yeah, I'm in." But you don't have a fucking clue what they deem as the idea of fun, right? Like all of a sudden, right? It's late October and they're like, "Do you want to go to a haunted house?" And you're like, "Sure." And then you're like, "Wait, but where are we going?" Like it's kind of the same idea, right? Like you said, we all jumped in head first and said, "Okay, we're on, with this thing, whatever the fuck it is, but we're on," right? But to your point, how long are we on for? What is going to be the ultimate carnage before there's, grass that's greener on the other side? Like what is it going to take? How long is it going to take? And I think that's the uncertainty that, like you said, Juice, earlier, that's going to kill the middling fan, right? Because Cubs fans are, let's be honest. Let's call it how we see it. Let's call a spade a spade. Pre-2016, we were the lovable losers. Everybody loved the Cubbies, right? Oh, they're the lovable losers. It's a great time. Go to Wrigley, have a blast, blah, blah, blah. We're spoiled now. Let's just call it how it is. We are spoiled because now Cubs fans have seen it. There is a way to get there and win a World Series. And you clearly have good people in your front office because a lot of these guys have either had success elsewhere or were here for that. But again, what is the timeline? And again, at least they have a direction, right? At least some kind of direction, right? It's a direction. But how long is this direction going to take? And to your point, Juice, like I've been thinking so much about those like 2011, 2012, 2013 teams. Like there was not a lot of talent here in those years. It was like Anthony Rizzo and the Funky Bunch. Mm-hmm. Now you have talent here. You have Seiya Suzuki, who is your, maybe he's not your like top dog, but he's a big piece in that lineup nonetheless. You have Christopher Morel, who appears to be this budding prospect who can play multiple positions, has elite stuff, a guy that fits the mold of where you're trying to go. You have a Nico Horner who, again, we've compared him. He's putting up almost the same season as the guy on the other side of town who's a starter in the All-Star game. Like, you have good pieces here, but it's just this lack of putting it all together. It's this lack of obviously having a complete team. This team's far from complete. But like they're almost as painful to watch as those teams that had significantly less talent. I think that's what almost hurts worse because we were at least sitting here this year going, at least make it interesting. You don't have to make the playoffs, but God forbid, can you at least play competitive baseball on a night in, night out basis? And they've shown they can do it. We've seen it at points this year. But overall, like you said, you put it perfectly. It's been put perfectly by Tyler in the comments here. It literally is a metaphorical kick in the dick every single time this team comes out and loses by 5 and 6 runs like they did tonight.
Yeah, and I had like a craving, and I was thinking this the whole game. When was the last time you watched a Cup game and you left the ball game mad because they lost? Like truly left the ball game mad because they lost. It's a long time.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute.
When was the last time you watched a Cub game and there was something on the other end that meant something? You know what I'm saying? Like a like a playoff series, or hey, they have to win to stay in alive. This.
Yeah.
Like when was the last time I kept going further and further back, and I end up at the Rockies wild card game. And that's the last moment that I've felt that craving satisfied, even though they lost, of sitting on the edge of every single pitch, excited, nervous, and sick to my stomach over what was going to happen. And I know the South Side, and we bring up the Sox a lot on this because they're in their window of contention. Mm-hmm. I'm jealous with even how bad that's going over there, because at least you play a game every single day and there's something to play for. There's expectation. There's a standard that's not being met. And when that standard isn't met and you're upset about it, it truly means that your baseball team is playing for something. Mm-hmm. When you watch a Cub game, I could watch this first inning, first pitch, all the way to the last pitch of the ninth. Or I could watch this going in and out, doing the dishes, doing chores around the house. And there is no difference in terms of excitement. You know what I'm saying? Like, it does not matter. And I think it's hard for us to sit and watch these and to be so spoiled over the past few years and just be like, man, it doesn't matter if they win today. It doesn't. Honestly, at this point, it's better when they lose. Mm-hmm. Realistically, like, for the sake of the rebuild and sake of adding another prospect, it's better when they lose at this point. And that's a terrible situation to be in as a fan. There's nothing fun about a tank. There's nothing. It goes against probably all of your competitive nature. You played football. You played, organized sports. I played baseball and basketball, and I played competitive golf. There's a lot of different things that get my competitive juices flowing.
Yeah.
And this Cub team, it's hard to find something to look at where I'm like, oh, this is on the line. It's been a while since I felt that, that heartbeat rise above, the 110 while I'm at round. You know what I mean? Like when you're nervous about a game or your hands are, sweaty or you're fidgeting all the time. I miss that, man. Like my go-to thing in 2016 was to sit in my favorite spot and like I had the armchair and I would pinch and like move different fabric on the armchair because I was a nervous wreck. I miss that. And I never thought I would miss that. But like you watch these games and then you start to think like, man, like what's the point? Why am I watching this? There's 19 other things I should be doing right now. But I'm doing this because, hey, I love the Cubs. I do. Deep down, I love this team. I don't love where this team is at, but I was born and bred a Cub fan. It's sad to sit here, but they won't take that away from me. I'll still find little joys. I just want the extra gravy on top of the mashed potatoes. The Cubs are still serving mashed potatoes. They're runny and shitty and probably a little lumpy at times too. But like, I'm looking for that extra oomph. Like I want something on the line. And I think the hardest part too is 90% of this lineup, when they throw it out there, I don't care if they make an out or they get hit because I know that down the line, it does not matter. Like I watch every Christopher Morel at bat, like front to back, and I try to analyze it. I watch every Seiya Suzuki at bat to try to learn something new. Everybody else, I mean, Ian Happ, I love him. He's having a great season, but that could be in a different uniform in a couple weeks. Same with Wilson Contreras. I expect that to be like that. Some of the pitching prospects, Justin Steele, like we talked about, it was good to see him settle in. I watch him very closely. Keegan, love what he's done this year. But there comes a point where you've seen enough of some of these guys to where it loses its luster of evaluation. Like I know what Justin Steele and Keegan Thompson are capable of. I just want to see more Christopher Morel. I want to see more Nelly Velasquez because I don't know what they're capable of yet. But we're never going to see that with them at 8 and 9 in the lineup. And that's why it's just the extra crap on the plate. Like that's what just so much upsets me. And I'm just striving and craving this competition nervousness as a fan. I'm not going to get it for like at least another year, probably, maybe 2. Right. And that's, as I sit here and watch tonight, I think it all came, tonight and yesterday, it all came like full circle for me. And I've decided to watch with zero expectations, and it's starting to get to me as a fan. And that's, I'm only human. I try to be as optimistic as I can be. But at the end of the day, like I need something on the line, and there's just nothing right now.
Yeah, and that's the thing, Juice, right, about being a sports fan is we're all competitive adrenaline junkies that this is how we satisfy that craving, like you said, right? Like, there's people that'll ride roller coasters, and that's their adrenaline. I don't understand that. I hate roller coasters. But again, more power to you. Scary movies, same thing. People like getting the shit scared out of them. I also don't understand that, but that's their adrenaline. But like you said, Juice, for a lot of sports fans, and whether you played it or not, and I think it's a varying level of competitiveness, but it does fulfill that competitiveness, right? You like that adrenaline, right? You like that nervous energy of a highly competitive environment. That is what people thrive on in sports, and that's why sports is so fun. When it is lacking, it is very hard to do it. And I think a lot of what I've been trying to do as a sports fan over the last few years, especially as I've gotten older now, is like just appreciate greatness when it's there. Like appreciate guys that are really good, right? Like other sides of town with the Blackhawks, with Patrick Kane, especially amidst their rebuild, right? Like who knows how much longer him and Jonathan Taves are in a Chicago Blackhawks uniform, right? Appreciate greatness. It's the same way with Duncan Keith and Brent Seabrook and all those guys that are gone from those dynasty teams. Same thing with like other teams in town, right? Like with the Bears, with Khalil Mack. Like I don't think any of us thought Khalil Mack's last season was last year, but now he's gone, right? Like just appreciating that greatness. But like when this team, like you said, you want that uncertainty, because that uncertainty and that unknown is exciting, especially when there isn't that competitive juice flowing. We want to see more Nelly V. We want to see more Christopher Morel. We want to see more Seiya Suzuki. All right. Seiya's still a fairly unknown commodity. I would even argue Nico Horner, to an extent, is still an unknown commodity in terms of games played. So, like, we want to see more of those guys. But I completely agree with you, man. Like, we want to see more of new, right? We want to see that development pipeline truly pumping talent into this major league roster. And it's coming. But it feels like something that you and I talked about as well, Juice, before, and I know Joey has as well. It feels like a lot of that, like, next wave of true talent is in, like, A-ball right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot of guys ready to make the jump from AAA and AA. And if they were, Brennan Davis, they're hurt. So I think that it's that lack of that being there right now, too, that's hurting Cubs fans. Because at least I think the one thing that makes this team more interesting next year is – guys like Jordan Wicks and hopefully Ed Howard and Brennan Davis, because we're probably not going to see him in the majors this year. At least hopefully we see him back in the minors at some point. But at least those guys are going to be a lot closer, right? And you might actually get to start seeing them trickle in a little bit, right? Right now we don't have that. So it's just trying to find that craving of watching the baseball game. And right now it is guys like Morel. Morel had a triple tonight. It was awesome. That's the shit I like to see. But it's just a little craving, and we need that craving filled, and we need more of it. And I think that I agree with you, man. I think that's what has made it truly difficult for the competitive diehard fan to sit here and watch this team right now, and especially just again how they're playing. They were fun in that 4 series where they won 4 straight series stretch. They were a lot of fun to watch then. I was actually like, oh shit, this team's fun again. But these last 6 games, man, have just been like, what the fuck happened? I get you played the Dodgers, and that's fine, but you were in every game and you shot yourselves in the foot and probably should have won 2 at least. And then you come out to, I know they're a decent, good Baltimore Orioles team, but you shat the bed 2 nights in a row to a team that, especially last night, you had a lead against.
Yeah. And that's I don't know, man. Like, I want it to stop. Is it that bad to, like,
stop? He's already dead.
Right? I mean, I feel like each and every night we sit here and we talk about one 30-second moment of a baseball game, right? Like, each night there's one thing great to talk about that matters, that is, buildings on the future, that has substance. Tonight it was Christopher Morel's triple. But we just watched 3 hours worth of baseball for 30 seconds. Like,
yeah.
And the rest of it, I mean, you could take it or leave it. I know, like, I was reading some of the comments, like, oh, things are going to be all right. Yeah, I know that. Eventually, everything will come back and the Cubs will have another good team. But in the midst of a 6-game losing streak here, how can one sit here and say that they feel confident when they haven't seen one guy other than, maybe Christopher Morel, who's projecting to be a part of that crew for the future? I think it's hard for one, and Seiya Suzuki, and maybe Nico Horner. So we got 3. But then again, too, there's a lot of talent up the middle in this farm system too. So we don't know who they value more. That's a question that still has to be answered. I just miss, like, the hardest thing to do is to watch these games, and then if they have an off day, they run like the Cubs' greatest hits. And I did that the other day. I watched, even on our off day, I sat and I watched a game in 2001, a crazy finish when they played the Rockies. And I went, so this is what fun baseball at the major league level is like again. Like, you forget. And then you start to so then you watch that. And then you watch these last 2 nights. And like I said, I just put it in perspective. We watched that whole game for 30 seconds worth of things that matter for the future. That whole game I watched that was a rerun was more exciting than any of the previous 2 nights here. And that becomes sad. Like, when you're sitting here watching this team and you're doing what we do, which is we dive deep into this and we try to understand what's going on at all levels. And there's a lot of good going on at the other levels. There are.
A lot of good.
A lot of good. But for every guy we talk about, you know, out of the 7, there may be one that ends up being a superstar.
Right.
And if the odds are correct on that, then, man, the Cubs have got a lot of work to do in free agency. And if that's the case, and they're going to try to build this through having a core that they can pick from and trade from and bring up and fill gaps, and then adding in with free agencies, cool. But you better hit on the free agents. You better sign the right ones, because if you don't, and you're in another Jason Hayward situation, you're not allowed and can't sign Bryce Harper or Manny Machado because you're in a stupid contract, then that's even worse than just sitting here and being bad, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's a fickle game the Cubs are playing right now. They're telling you to watch and they're telling you to, you know, buy the stuff and go to the game, but they're selling you a product that doesn't have like a payoff to it, right? For much of it, which I think is like stupidest business strategy 101. But with that said, they had to do something. You know, they couldn't just sit there and have these middling teams that keep losing in the wild card or get bounced in the first round. I get why they did it. It just sucks, man. Everybody's sitting here laughing at the White Sox. I'm envious. And it's not because they're good. It's because, like I said earlier, they have something on the line. The games mean something. I hate sitting for 3 hours each night and watching meaningless baseball. And I think it all came to a head today. It really did. And it's Daniel Norris's fault. It really is, because I was fine until the 8th. And I was like, all right, I'm going to be fine. We're going to talk about, you know, there's good things that Morel hit a triple. And then Norris takes like 45 minutes to get through the last 2 innings. And he had to get 4 outs. So, yeah, end of the day, that's my TED Talk. I need the All-Star break and to lose a ton of brain cells this weekend, all things considered, after watching whatever the hell we watched over this past, 6 games.
Yeah, it's been bad, man. And I don't know if you have any more final thoughts. I'm not sure you do. For those that are listening and weren't watching live, as Juice was talking about Jason Hayward contract, Scott popped in the comments here. After this year, the Cubs owe Jason Hayward $44.5 million. So perfect example of that, right? You got to hit on your free agents if you're going to build that way. So on and so forth. Juice, but if you have no final thoughts to this game, I have one final thought. I think the best part about tonight's game was the fact that they gave away a barbecue tool belt for those that got there early enough at the ballpark. I think that is the best part about tonight's game, besides Christopher Morel's triple. I saw it. It looks fantastic.
I'm not gonna even try to just one up that last thought. Let's leave the barbecue. Just like this team barbecued. That's a great thought, Ron.
Yeah,
and we'll end this whole. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm lost for words. This is how bad the Cubs are. I'm lost for words.
I mean, yeah, they wanted to barbecue the birds tonight, and unfortunately the birds barbecued them back. So we will go ahead and look ahead, Juice, because hopefully the 6-game losing streak doesn't get as high as 10 as it possibly could. God forbid the Cubs lose all 4 this weekend before the All-Star break. But nonetheless, after a 7-1 loss tonight, the Cubs welcome the New York Mets to town on Thursday for a 4-game set. Game 1 on July 14th will begin at 7:05. It is the only night game of this series. All other games will be 1:20 daytime games. We personally here at Cubs on Tap, we will not have a show tomorrow, just as a heads up for everybody. So we will be talking about this coming game that we're previewing now and Friday's game. After Friday's game, we will be back after Friday's game. Some iteration of the crew will be here for sure. But if you're in the New York area and you root for the Cubbies and you're going to listen, the Mets radio networks, WCBS 880, WEPN 10 7:50. And Sports New York, SNY, is where you can catch the game on television. You know the drill for the Chicagoland market, 670 The Score, WRTO 1200, and Marquee Sports Network. It will be right-hander Carlos Carrasco on the mound for the New York Mets. Actually having a really good year, 9-4 on the season with a 4.55 ERA and just shy of 100 strikeouts. And on the mound for the Cubbies, it is the man himself, Juice's appointment television, Keegan Thompson. Thompson 7-3 on the season, 3.04 ERA with 74 Ks. Juice, thoughts on this game upcoming tomorrow, maybe even a little bit of this series. And we'll get some Fly the W picks before we get out here as well. But the floor is yours.
Do they have to play?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah. Just don't embarrass yourself. Stay in a game, maybe win one, make me happy. Let's try to get a victory, and then me and you hop on a show and talk about a victory, because it feels like it's been since 2016 that we've won a baseball game. I know that's not true, but it just it feels that way. The Mets are good, and it's another situation where you're watching for that 30 seconds, right, of a glimmer of hope. You're watching for Christopher Morel to do something amazing, or Seiya Suzuki to show why he's a unicorn at baseball, or Keegan Thompson to shove it with that Mets lineup and pitch himself to a win and throw 7 innings. That's what you're looking for, and that's what we're going to be looking for the rest of the year. We've said it here plenty that there's very few guys who are appointment television. Keegan's definitely appointment television, so I will be watching. With that said, I'll definitely be watching with more alcoholic beverages than I did tonight. With all things considered, go out there and grow. Try to, add something to your game if you're Christopher Morel, or work something out if you're Keegan Thompson. More and more starts underneath your belt that give you more confidence going into the next year. And if you're the Mets, you go in, you take care of business, and you coast into the All-Star break, right? And you're in a 4-game sweep against a team that you should sweep. I do think the Cubs will win 1 game in this series, at least, maybe 2, all things considered. But I don't have much of a preview. All things, I mean, if you really want to go deep into it, man, the Cubs are the Cubs as of right now. It's depressing. It's hell. There's a bunch of adjectives you could sit to, describe it, and none of them are good. So,
nope.
All things considered, I've said that way too many times because that's where we're at. All things considered, who gives a shit?
And Juice, all things considered, like you said, the Mets are a good baseball team. So it'd be nice, just avoid getting swept. That's what I'll say. We'll keep it nice and sweet. But as a reminder, again, just reminding everybody, no show tomorrow here Thursday from us at Cubs on Tap. But we will be back with you on Friday, and then in some iteration this weekend as well. We'll be back with you to talk more about this Mets series, and as Juice has noted, guide not only ourselves but the listeners into the All-Star break for a few days of R&R mentally from what has been some really bad baseball the last couple of days. But Juice, before we get out of here, I want to remind everybody quickly, Cubs on Tap is the official Cubs podcast of the On Tap Sports Network. You can check out all of our great work over at ontapsportsnet.com and at ontapsportsnet on social media. You can follow the pod specific accounts here at Cubs on Tap. We are at Cubbies on Tap, CUBBIES. That's Twitter and Instagram. I am at Luce on Tap on the Bluebird app. Juice is at Juice on Tap. You can follow at Joey Knows Nothing, at Teddy Freddy 270, at Brandon MK, and everybody else that contributes here to the Cubs side of the house. Bulls, Bears, Blackhawks. Blackhawks had a busy day today. NHL free agency. It was like kid on Christmas for me this morning. You know it. We've got it here. And again, Cubs fans, you know the drill. We all have friends that like the Southsiders. Sox on Tap crew does a nice job covering them as well. So be sure to send them that way. Once again, ontapsportsnet.com, at ontapsportsnet on social media, the OnTap Sports Network. Go ahead and check out what's on tap in Chicago sports. Juice, losses suck, but it's always a pleasure to be on the microphone with you, my friend. What do you say we get out of here the only way we know how?
Help.
And let's go, Gubbies.